Hello, and welcome to today's insider session on what's new with Naviant Managed Services. I'm Jeff Luker, the director of our Managed Services team, and I'm happy to have you today. So let's take a step back and talk about why you might consider managed services. We have many different customers, all of which each have their own unique stories that got us to a managed services agreement. In some cases, we have organizations that implemented large, complex solutions that they weren't comfortable taking ownership of and supporting and advancing in the future. So they worked with us as a managed services provider to smooth that transition and continuously support and optimize their solution. In other cases, we have organizations that have had staff departures or turnover or role changes that have left a void in their on-base or Abby support. We've been able to fill that void through a staff augmentation model of our managed services offering. Over the last year or two, we've also seen more and more organizations that have been looking to us to provide the latest best practice recommendations and continuously improve and optimize those systems. We're able to be the gatekeeper, so to speak, or be the liaison with Highland and with the other technologies that we support to make sure that we're keeping up with the latest trends and bringing those to you so that you don't need to do all of that legwork. My managed services team is made up of a variety of different roles with different skill sets, experience as well, so that we make sure we have a good mix of resources that we can customize this support model to meet your needs. We have engagement managers that come with project management background, business analysts and consultants that can focus on your business processes to ensure you are leveraging the most efficient processes and taking advantage of the tools available to you. And of course, we have a wide variety of engineers and architects and technical skill sets on the team that are able to support on-base, Abby, Brainware, APIs, scripting, integrations, all kinds of different things, so that we're, again, able to create a structure of support that will meet your individual needs. The model of managed services support has also evolved over the last year or so, where we have eliminated the idea of defining scope based off of what type of work we're doing. We used to call it operate, enhance, and expand. We've gotten rid of that concept and focused more on these different tiers or levels of support. Level 1 being your basic production support. We can provide support for upgrades, perform proactive system health monitoring. We can perform configuration updates for you. Typically, these would be small enhancements or minor modifications to your system, things that are 5 hours or less of work under a level 1 agreement. And then, of course, we would conduct a system assessment for you to make sure that we're looking under the hood and providing recommendations if there's any inefficiencies or improper configuration of servers and infrastructure under the hood. Building on that, a level 2 agreement adds in a process consultant, somebody that can help define a technology roadmap for you, perform an optimization assessment. We can even engage these resources to do some discovery and planning work for any large projects that you might have on your pipeline for the future. And then the level 3 agreement builds on top of 1 and 2 by adding in all the bells and whistles of a full implementation team. This is a perfect fit for organizations who have big goals to expand your solution, roll it out to other departments, lines of business, implement new integrations or new tools over time. A level 3 agreement is a great fit for you. And these really compound on top of each other. So if you get a level 3 agreement, you also get all the features of a level 2 and a level 1 as well. We tend to have a lot of unique conversations with organizations about some very specific needs that they have that a managed services agreement can help support. So just to name a few, recently we had an organization that really just needed a dedicated resource that can help train end users and administrators on how to support and how to leverage OnBase. This was a healthcare organization that really had a gap in knowledge on just how to use OnBase. So we had a dedicated resource working with them for several months, just coaching end users on how to leverage the technology. We've, of course, got a lot of project managers on the team. We also have a lot of experience helping organizations maintain or even stand up a new governance model. If you need some controls in place for prioritizing work efforts and making sure that you're focusing your energy where you will get the most value. I'll talk more about a change control process that we've helped organizations implement and leverage to maintain or to ensure that they're getting effective and efficient deployments. We had an organization recently that reached out because they have a gap on their database maintenance team. They were looking to us to be able to implement a database maintenance plan as well as to monitor and oversee that for success. Now, and particularly in the future, we're going to have a lot of energy at Naviant going towards AI and RPA, robotic process automation. And within a managed services agreement, leveraging one of those process consultants that I mentioned, they can really help you identify opportunities to automate your processes. And then under the scope of a managed services agreement, we can even implement those recommendations so that you are able to really focus your energy on where you need the most critical thought and your users applied. And then I'd like to highlight executive support too. We've had a handful of organizations that have had executive turnover. They've got new CIOs or new IT leadership that have inherited a system that they really don't understand what it's capable of. We'd love to partner with those organizations or even connect those groups to other organizations within the managed services community so that you have good contacts to help arm you with all the information and data points and talking points that you need to be able to drive your organization forward. And these are just a few recent examples of some niche areas of managed services support that we've been able to provide. If you have any specific needs that you wonder if managed services might be a fit for, we'd love to talk to you about potential opportunities there. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between managed services and if we were to just hire these types of resources in-house and support this? And that's a very valid question. What I will say is, as the technology improves, it's limiting the talent pool that's out there, which, as you all know, then results in extended timeframes and increased costs to be able to find, hire, and onboard the right resources into your organization to be able to advance your solutions. The cost of salary, benefits for those advanced skill sets. Then there's the HR, administrative overhead of managing PTO and outages and bonuses and salary increases and performance reviews. All those types of things, when you have your own internal staff, you need to account for. When you're working with managed services, we account for that on our side. You don't have to worry about performance reviews. We're, of course, always open to any and all feedback and things that you think we could be doing differently. But in terms of the formal HR type of administrative overhead, that's something that we take on. Job satisfaction, turnover, sharing resources with other teams. These are just common pain points and challenges that we see in organizations. We see a lot of people that start as an on-base administrator and move into other roles, or perhaps we certainly have a lot of organizations that have maybe a 0.5 FTE dedicated to on-base, and the rest of that person's time is dedicated elsewhere. That just creates some natural tug and pull, and it's a lot of finger pointing or arguing over who's going to get prioritized over what. So with managed services, you don't need to worry about those types of things because our resources are dedicated to your solution and supporting those. When you work with Naviant Managed Services, you get an experienced team of engagement managers, architects, engineers, and process consultants at your fingertips. We have a team of 30 plus people and growing by the day on my managed services team made up of those roles. You individually would be assigned what I call a pod. We've broken down our team of 30 plus people into smaller pods so that we can make sure you get named resources that get to know you and your goals and your challenges. They get to know your systems as well. They become your friend, your buddy, so to speak, that you can reach out to and work directly with. But behind them, we like to make sure that we have additional resources. Our pods are typically 4 or 5 people large so that you would be able to, if your primary resource goes on PTO, for example, you still have continued support from their backups. We also try to mix up the skill sets within the pods. So if you have a unique need that your primary assigned resource or resources don't have that experience, we have others that we can quickly pull in to be able to keep things moving for you. We also have a minimal ramp up time, typically 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks between contract signature and the start of the engagement. There's, of course, some nuance there. If we have a bunch of contracts that sign at the same time or the holiday season or things like that, that could stretch it out a little. But when you compare that to thinking about hiring your own staff between the job posting, recruiting, interviewing, hiring, onboarding, that can take 6 to 12 months for some organizations. You compare that to a 1 to 2 to 3 week ramp up for us. We also, we're not a huge company. We like to make sure that we are operating, leveraging the experience we have working with you. So if you've worked with Naviant in the past for project work or upgrades, we keep all of that documentation and we make sure we connect with those resources so that the managed services team that gets assigned is caught up on everything that we can. So you don't need to repeat the same conversations or answer the same questions, at least as much as possible, so that our team can jump in and really make an impact as quickly as possible. And then lastly, I like to call this out, especially as we get to the end of budget season here, or get to the end of the year. This is budget season for a lot of folks. Having that fixed monthly fee for X number of months allows you to have consistency with your budget planning. There's also the natural flexibility built into a managed services agreement rather than having an agreement that is focused on specific deliverables and dates. We say, we will give you these bodies, we will give you these resources to work with over this period of time. We'll get as much done as possible. We'll meet we'll meet you where you're at, so to speak. And if you have changes in scope or new projects or shifting priorities, you don't need to worry about change orders or separate agreements. As long as we are in sync on what the scope of your managed services agreement is and what we can feasibly do within the time frame that we are allotted, we can pivot our plans quickly through open collaboration and communication with you, which just makes things easier, less paperwork, less overhead for you to be able to get things done. And lastly, it would behoove me not to call out that our managed services team has really made a name for itself when it comes to their customer service. This is a scorecard from one of our larger organizations that we've worked with for a few years now. You can see these metrics here at the top are from the customer ServiceNow system. If you're familiar with the average business duration metric that ServiceNow reports on, we were able to cut over a full day out of their turnaround time, essentially from open to close of their production issues. And actually, since I created this, it's even down below a day now as well. We've supported multiple upgrades, audits, no missed deadlines on any of the audits. We really attack those types of things with urgency, and we make sure we meet all of those goals and requirements. And then that feedback down there at the bottom is from one of the end users at this organization. I always love to highlight this because it really represents the type of service that you get when you work with the Naviant Managed Services team. So our insider session today is called What's New with Managed Services. And perhaps if you're on the call today, you might be a current managed services customer wondering what we're doing now or in the future that you'll be able to take advantage of as well. So I want to highlight a couple of things. For one, we are putting tremendous amount of energy and emphasis on creating a roadmap for you, a technology roadmap. That level 2 agreement that I mentioned before is a great example of how we can engage business process focused experts from our consulting team to dig in with you, perform both system analysis, but also meet with your end users, meet with your managers. We can even do work shadowing just to see what is a day in the life of your organization. How does that align with your current system? And what other opportunities or technologies are out there that can help you optimize and improve your organizational throughput? Some outcomes that you can expect out of this effort, which I call an optimization assessment, would include identification of new technology opportunities. We've worked with OnBase forever. We've worked with Abby for many years now as well. We also have a growing tool belt, so to speak, of additional technologies that we can recommend for you, including AI and robotic process automation opportunities. When we get in with your organization and we see how things are performing, we're able to provide recommendations of what can be automated. And under a managed services agreement, we may even be able to do that work for you to put those automations in place. If you need help process mapping out your current state processes or future state processes, that can be a specific focused effort through our optimization assessments. We'll also identify quick win opportunities. If there's little things we can tweak in your system, if there's new reports or changes in layouts, things like that we can just help your team be more efficient with, we can quickly and easily do that under a managed services agreement just to get those quick wins and that low-hanging fruit out of the way. And really all of this comes together in a technology roadmap that will focus on both short and long-term opportunities for you. You'll get to prioritize that. You get to understand how that fits into your larger picture, and we'll be there as a partner all along the way to help guide you there. We also, about a year ago, announced a partnership with a company called Revitalize, who provides software for system performance and platform monitoring. The service that we offer, we're calling Naviant Insight IQ. which leverages the technology that Reveille provides with additional great customer service, support, analysis, and recommendations from the Naviant team to help optimize your system performance. Reveille provides out-of-the-box tools. We've also developed a Naviant bundle of on-base specific monitors that will look at things like platform connectivity, database, client performance, all of the things that you can see on here so that you're constantly 24/7, 365 looking for issues, even overnight, that might cause issues. It pulls it all together in some really easy to digest and easy to act on heat maps and reports like you're seeing here on the screen. This allows us and or you to focus your attention and energy on the problematic areas as opposed to wasting time going through an entire checklist where 90% of everything is working fine. This allows you to really focus and dig into the problematic areas. I'll mention too, just recently, earlier this fall, Reveille had a new release that now allows for ABBYY FlexiCapture monitoring. And in the very near future, they'll also be announcing Vantage support. I'm really excited about some of the machine learning that they're going to be building into future releases. It's really, really impressive the direction that they're going, and we're excited to support many of our customers on the Naviant Insight IQ offering. One of the biggest game changers when it comes to Insight IQ is the ability to automatically remediate issues with little or no manual intervention. So if you have a recurring issue where after you perform server maintenance, you always have to do an IIS reset, just to throw out a very specific example. You can have Reveille automatically perform that IIS reset based off of event log triggers or things of that nature, or any sort of monitors that fail, so that you're not having somebody need to get up in the middle of the night to just reset IIS and resolve those issues. You can also have it execute commands, perform PowerShell scripts, start and stop services, reboot a server. It can send notifications. It doesn't have to actually perform the action. It can also just send notifications via email, ServiceNow, Slack. There's many other integrations that Reveille supports that you're able to leverage there too. And it pulls, and if you're a data nerd like I am, it pulls all of the information that it's gathering together in some really impactful, helpful reports and dashboards so that you can have that both macro level and micro level view of the overall system health and performance. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I actually led a webinar on Insight IQ a couple months ago. You can see the link there at the bottom. I encourage you to check that out if this is of interest to you. You can also just go to our website, Naviant.com, and search for Insight IQ, and it'll link you to both the blog as well as the webinar to get into the weeds on what this is. The final thing I want to highlight today is that we are really focusing on making sure our customers are getting all the bells and whistles available to them. We've worked with a lot of organizations, for example, that don't have a change control process and thus have had a history of ineffective production deployments. So we recognize that as a challenge for many of the organizations we work with, and we built a standard change control form and process that we can quickly implement into your system that we can use during a managed services agreement, or if it's something that you're interested in just leveraging long-term with your own staff, we can give that to you through our managed services support as well. We also have had a focused effort to make sure that all of our customers have and understand and are leveraging the Naviant reporting bundle of 100 plus reports that we've developed over time that administrators will get a tremendous amount of value out of. And so we had a task force put together to make sure all of our customers for which it is applicable receive that bundle. And that actually piggybacks me on to the app builder, which you see on the left side of the screen here, a templated app that we have built out for system administrators. We're also working on one for accounts payable and human resources teams. This is really cool new functionality. I believe it's version 23 that it's available for, and it's going to continue to advance. And it really makes the end user experience a lot more digestible, for lack of a better term. It's going to be a game changer for a lot of organizations. So we are making sure that all of our clients have access to and even have some templated apps so that you can see how it's built out, how it changes, how it can be configured to make the most for your end user experience. Whew. I'm out of breath. Thank you so much for your time today. If you are interested in managed services, Insight IQ, any of the things that we covered today, I really encourage you to reach out to your account manager, your customer success advisor, or you can even reach out to me directly. My contact's down there at the bottom. This is, again, a very flexible solution. We're doing some really cool things. We're helping our clients really thrive with managed services. And I encourage you to reach out if you think this would be a good fit for you. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to talk to you again soon.